Technology is never my friend. I spent 3 hours with the guy on Adobe.
Oh, goodness. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're just getting ourselves set up, and we'll be starting in a few minutes.
Okay. Laura, Alisa, just so you know, we are live on Facebook.
Thank you. So don't do anything too embarrassing, Alisa.
Okay. I'm used to doing that though.
Okay, give it another minute. Okay, Casey, are we all set up?
Yep, we are all set up. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, you ready to start, Alisa? Should I start?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to the first in what we anticipate to be a 5-part series of the basics of genealogy research. This program is aimed at beginners, people just starting out, people just getting interested in genealogy. Some of our future parts of the series will be on different sources for genealogy research, different types of records, and then also a session on DNA research. My name is Laura Pappani. I'll introduce myself in a second, but Alisa, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Alisa Austin. I started doing genealogy when I was 12. When I was a teenager, I would get the genealogical helper in the mail. And yes, I was a nerd. I work here at the Grass Valley Library. And so welcome.
I like how Alisa says she was a nerd because I think I still am, but my name is Laura Pappani. I've worked for the library for about 13 years in a variety of different capacities. At the moment, I am the branch manager of the Doris Foley Library for Historical Research, which is an old Carnegie library in downtown Nevada City that has resources for local history and genealogy. We have a few slides for you today, about 8 different slides with information. There'll be plenty of time for questions and elaboration and feedback and all of that at the end. And so, Alisa, why don't you go ahead and begin?
Okay, so the first thing you should do when you're working on genealogy is work from the present to the past. Start with yourself first. Get your birth records, baptismal records, school records, whatever records you have. What if you are adopted or even suspicious about your ancestry? Then you probably want to take a DNA test first. You want to talk to your relatives, especially the older ones. Don't skip generations and assume, otherwise you might end up tracing an incorrect line. Write down any dates, locations, etc. Get any family stories, but be skeptical. Don't run with it. Family stories might be embellishments, cover-ups for tragedies. They might want the family history to be pristine. They do not want their descendants to know about suicides, murders, etc. It does a great disservice, though, to the future generations. For example, I spent 2 hours at a Marysville cemetery reading off headstones when it turned out that my ancestor died of lead poisoning in Stockton, and his remains were later dug up and cremated. Also, an elderly relative might have dementia, so they may not give you the correct facts. Do not be apologetic about your ancestors. They were human. And take into consideration that they did not have the cures that they have today. Look for common threads. Check for changes in surnames. The surname was not consistent throughout time. If the name ends in EY, check for endings in IE. My last name is Austin, and the further back in time I go, I see that the name is spelled ASTYN.
Okay. Yeah. My birth name is Tours, which is, we spell it TUERS, which would make you think it was French, but it was actually a Dutch name spelled TOERS. And somebody back in the 1700s, when ancestors got married at a church, they spelled it wrong, and then it just stayed spelled wrong since then. So when you're, a good place to start, if you're just getting started out with your research, is to kind of gather any family papers you have, maybe family letters, journals. Look for hints of secrets or, euphemisms used to kind of get some idea of something that might have affected your family's history. There's all kinds of stuff you might find out. In my family, nobody in my family knew until my grandmother was about in her 80s that she had been married, that she had a very brief first marriage. It was a complete surprise to everybody. So stuff like that will come up. Dates and addresses on letters and envelopes can give you clues about where people lived, locations where their relatives were, where they were from. And just a comment that some stories you might uncover are very sad, some are very beautiful. Just kind of be prepared to find out interesting things. Go ahead, Alisa.
Oh, did you do 3? Okay. Okay, so the next thing to look for are photographs. Look on the back of photographs for names and dates. For instance, I have this old daguerreotype case here, and inside of the case has, let me hold it up.
Yeah, hold it up a little higher. There you go.
Oh, I'm disappearing here. I'll hold it closer to myself. Is the name of the grandfather and the grandson that are in the photograph. So a lot of people do not know about checking behind daguerreotype cases. And this is actually an ambrotype, but what you can do is get an X-Acto knife and carefully pry it open. So, and look at the photographic studio. I think, let's see here. And look at the different types of photographs to give clues to dates. Now, daguerreotypes started in the 1830s. There is a YouTube video called Old Photo Identification by Nikki Smith. Casey, if you can put that in the chat box.
Casey's already on it.
You're already on it. Thank you, Casey. Look at the style of clothes. Look at the hairstyle. Look at the furniture, the transportation. If you're looking at a car in a photo, is it a Model A or an Edsel? And remember to label your photos using an HB leaded pencil, or if you have recent photos with the plasticized backing, use a Micron archival ink pen.
Next slide.
Sorry.
That's okay. So other items that might have names and dates, some people keep various ephemera like funeral cards. They have a lot of information, obviously. The family Bible, if you have an old family Bible, look inside of it. People would typically track their names and important dates in there. Family scrapbooks, and then other artifacts and family heirlooms that you might have. Just look at everything and see why people kept it, and what information you might glean it from. You're going to want to put together a pedigree chart or a family tree. Yeah, this is the genealogy of the imperial family. Just to be clear, it's not my family. Check all the dates. Make sure things make sense and that the math is correct. Do a timeline, set up a timeline to help see any errors. Check for typos in names and other information. If you're looking online or you're looking at research somebody else has done, be aware of the difference between British and American dates with the order of the month and the year. In your own notes, it's best to spell out the month in order to prevent confusion, whether 5/1 means the 5th of January or May 1st. Use maiden names or birth names and previous married names in the notes that you keep. Track birth and baptismal dates, death and burial dates, and there's a variety of charts online. Alisa had found these two good sources for free chart software or forms that you can use. And I just saw Casey just posted that in the chat as well.
Thank you, Casey.
Yes, thank you, Casey. Our lovely anonymous assistant, Casey.
So you will hear the word Anantafel when you're starting out in genealogy. It is a German genealogy numbering system. It can be confusing to wrap your head around if you're new to genealogy. In essence, even numbered people on the chart are males and odd numbered are the females. So your father's a number 2 and your mother's a number 3. So your great grandparents are 16 through 23. So let me see. Let me start over again. So your great great grandparents are 16 through 23 would be your paternal line, and your great grandparents 24 through 31 would be your maternal line.
There will not be a quiz on this.
No, it keeps your research organized. And let's see, next slide here. So there are downloadable software programs. There's some that are free and some that cost. And some of the free versions have an upgraded version that you can pay for. So there's Family Tree Builder. It has a free version. There's Roots Magic. It has a free version. Legacy. And there's Family Historian that has a 3-day trial, three-day free trial, and Family Tree Maker. And that's usually like over $80 or so. So these software programs, some of them can catch errors, find smart matches to other trees. They have decorative family tree charts, maps, photo restoration, research logs, and media organization. You can find many videos on YouTube showing the software differences.
Okay, it's very important to be organized and to use a system that keeps methodical track of your research. And there's a variety of things you can do. Just find a system that works for you and try to find it early. People use filing or binders, whatever is, or maybe something just online, or on your computer, whatever is going to be a good system for you. Keep a research log to track discoveries that are interesting but possibly unproven, things you want to go back and research later. Also keep track of resources that you've checked, places you've already looked, a checklist of your research. And if you likely end up communicating with other people who might be related to you or are doing similar research. So keep a correspondence log. If you send an email or a letter, write down the day that it was written, write down the name and address, just to kind of keep track of all these details. If you send a request through snail mail for a copy of something, send a self-addressed stamped envelope. That's going to make it a lot more likely for you to get a response, because it's just a simple, easy way for somebody to stick something in an envelope and send it along to you. Be sure to cite your sources. You might think that we just have to say that because we're librarians, but it's really important. It's important to be methodical, to keep track of everything. Don't rely on your memory because, because it's just hard to keep track of all of these details. And you never know what you're going to want to go back and look at again or pursue further.
Okay, there are several types of genealogists. Some are obsessive. They eat, sleep, breathe genealogy. Maybe their dishes will be washed. I have a distant relative who I chat with on Facebook. We usually talk until we fall asleep. She'll have a pizza delivered at 11 o'clock at night. And I had another relative who contacted me early in the morning to find out when her ancestor committed suicide. I was still asleep when she asked me that.
Yeah.
And then there's a vacationing genealogist. I consider myself a vacationing genealogist. They're obsessive, but life got in the way. And then there's family only. They'll only discuss their findings with the family. And then there are the cocktail genealogists. That's what I call them, because they just want to brag at parties. They won't return letters or emails. They usually just take a DNA test, but are not interested in the research. And then there's the other one, the last one here, and they see it as a game. They just want to fill in the boxes and brag. It's an adrenaline rush. They do not want to verify information. The information is usually incorrect. They want to fit a square peg into a round hole. They're the ones that have 40,000 ancestors on their ancestry tree, and they cause more harm than good. So here's an example. There was a woman on Ancestry who said that she had a Hilliard line and wanted more information on my line. She said that her line was British and knew that my line was German. My line was originally Hilgert, and of course hers was Hilliard, and she wanted to see the photos of my great-grandparents and their documents to verify some information. So I sent her copies. Months later, I see my ancestors' photos and information tied to her line on Ancestry. I asked her to remove my great-grandparents, but instead she just hid her chart. Now, I should have contacted Ancestry immediately, but I was busy with other things. I think she finally removed it after all these years. If I have a mistake on a line, I will respect the wishes of that other person and remove the information. And so, why do you want to do genealogy? Are you going to give this information to descendants, relatives? Do you like being a detective? The information might heal wounds that the family did not know was there. You may find stories that are heartwarming and tragic. There could be lessons to tell your children and grandchildren. So just think, you are the product of thousands of people. What do you want to see? So what do you want to see in future programs? Do you have anything to add, Laura?
Well, actually, I just wanted to kind of point out that Alisa's cautionary tale, part of the information on that is that when you're starting to do research, particularly when you're looking online on places like Ancestry, etc., there's a lot of contributors to the information that you'll find, and people are at different levels in their research, and people have different levels of thoroughness. So just be aware that there's all different types of motivations for looking for genealogy, and you should always double check any information that you find so that you don't go down a wrong path because somebody else has made an error in the information that they have posted. And before we get to kind of questions and all of that, I did want to kind of point out some ways that we can help. So the library has a subscription to Ancestry.com that you can access from the Doris Foley Library. We are also an affiliate of Family Search, which is the database that's produced by the Church of Latter-day Saints. So if you set up an account on Family Search and you're doing research and you come up against a message that says, you can't access this, you need to be at an affiliate library, you can come to the Foley and we can find the information for you. The library also has a subscription to Heritage Quest, which you are able to access from home, and you can get to it from the library's online resources page. At the Foley, we have microfilm of local newspapers. We have the Union newspaper going back to 1865. We have earlier editions of some other papers going back to about, I think it's about 1851. So if you're looking for an obituary or a notice, some other information about a relative, you could possibly find it there. We also have coroner's records and mortuary records from local agencies. Sometimes we're able to find extra information in those that were not included in the obituary, perhaps where somebody is buried or something along those lines. We also, the Foley maintains a couple of databases that might be helpful. One is a database of obituaries so that we can look by name, and if we've seen their obituary in the paper, we will have already listed the dates and the page numbers, so that cuts down on some of the research time. We also have a general database of names. When volunteers or staff is looking through, say, an old directory, and they come across the name of a person, we'll track it in this database, and that also can cut down some of the searching through all different kinds of resources that kind of takes some legwork. We'll be talking more about sources and what do you call it? Different things different ways to research in future programs, but I just wanted to kind of give a general idea of what we have here at the Foley. We are open to the public right now. We're open limited hours, but we are open Thursdays and Fridays from 1 to 3. And we're also open on Saturdays by appointment. You just give me a call. We'll set up a time for you to come in. And I should also mention the Searles Library, which is part of the Nevada County Historical Society, is a wonderful resource as well for local history and genealogy. I have not heard that they're open to the public yet. Alisa, have you heard differently?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah. So as far as I know, they are not yet open, but it's certainly one to keep in mind. So that's my spiel. So if anybody has any questions or any comments, anything that they really would like to see covered in our future sessions, you can either put it in the chat or that's probably the easiest way. I do see a question. I can't, let's see.
Is there a way to open this up?
Yeah, press on chat. Just click on
First.
chat, Alisa.
Well, I'm trying to find it.
Let's see what we have here.
I can go ahead and read the question if that's easier.
Yeah.
Someone's asking the pros and cons to Ancestry versus MyHeritage. Currently on the free version of MyHeritage, but they're not sure if they don't want to redo all of the work moving forward. So they want to just know which one you guys would recommend.
Alisa, are you familiar with MyHeritage?
Not a lot.
And can you guys hear me? This is
Yeah.
Phil. I'm the one who put the chat in. Sorry,
Hi, Carol.
I'm on my work remote setup, so I have a narrow bandwidth, so you don't have my photo up.
Okay.
No, I'm just asking that because this is great. I'm so glad, appreciative you guys are doing this series because I'm retiring next year and this is something. I'm the matriarch of the family now, and I've always wanted to do this. I have wonderful family materials to work with, and so I started on that free version of My Heritage, and I'm just coming up on the allowable number of family members, so I'm going to have to move to a paid platform. And my cousin's using Ancestry, so I'm just trying to figure out, and I know there's no definitive answer per se, but just some guidance on any known pros and cons over those two.
I personally have never used My Heritage. I probably should have mentioned in my introduction at the beginning that I'm also quite new to genealogy research. And Alisa, do you have a familiarity with My Heritage? Have you used it?
No, not really.
I think Ancestry is kind of the one.
Ancestry is what we default to, and also like family search.
So
yes, we can do some research on that because we will be talking about that in an upcoming program.
I one of my goals is to land on that, and so when I do the paid subscription, I have time freed up to start working on it. So I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row, so to speak. And I was very fortunate before Mom passed away in 2010. I was able to go through a lot of the family materials and donate a large amount to the Livermore Heritage Guild, and so I was working with their collections manager, and I learned so much from them and their genealogy people. So it kind of sparked an interest. And that's why I was really thrilled to see this part one opportunity come up from you guys. So thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. I hope it's helpful in some way.
It's very helpful, and I will spread the word, and I look forward to the next parts.
Thank you, Beryl. Alisa, somebody is asking about Native American ancestry, how to find if you have Native American ancestry. Have you worked with that? I know.
Yeah, but I can bring that up in another program. There are
the brief to help her with now.
What exactly is the question? Is it
I'm
just general?
I'm looking to find if I have Native American ancestry. How do I approach that?
Well, I would have to know more information. Were you given like a family story, or did you have a DNA test? Why do you think you have Native American? Are you there?
Someone else just popped in with a similar question saying that they're interested in that and they know they have some Native American family members, but they're not sure how to locate the tribe.
Maybe that's something we'll need to research, Alisa.
Yeah, because I have Native American research or ancestry, and some of the top 4 genealogy programs will not show Native American DNA. So you have to go to I don't know, probably CRI genetics or whatever that.
You're talking about DNA testing?
DNA testing, okay. Yeah. Because it showed on my mother's DNA test. My mother took DNA Tribes, which is no longer in business, but now there's like CRI, which does lots of commercials. And so for her on that test, it showed she had Chinese, and which is usually a sign that you have Native American ancestry. So that's one way to start. I wouldn't do a DNA test with like the top 4, Ancestry. What's the other ones? My Heritage. I wouldn't use any of those to find Native American ancestry.
Why? Because they're not as specific as others? Yeah,
there's just something about them. It just doesn't give enough information. I don't know what it is, and there's a lot of videos online, and people are shocked that they don't have Native American ancestry, even though they belong to a tribe or something like that. And I'm like, this is a bit suspicious. So I would try one of the DNA testing companies like CRI. I haven't used that one before, but you know, it seems similar to DNA Tribes.
Well, I think this is something we might want to look into and address in another thing too, because there's at least a couple people who have posted or are posting that's an issue for them. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, so you know, try with searching through the census records. Look at their race. You know, if it says like I for Indian, that's, you know, one place to start. Look at all those basic records. We're going to be talking about vital records in the next program. So
Vital records, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the test, Alisa? What is the DNA test that you said was the most specific that you recommended? We're not recommending it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you'll probably have a better chance of finding Native American ancestry, and there are some Native American tests out there. So you might want to check those. They're specific to tribes. It's CRI. They have a lot of commercials online and on TV, so you've probably seen them. Yeah.
But we are going to be talking about DNA testing specifically in I think in the 5th program as well. So
yeah.
Somebody else says, I have a grandmother who was adopted. I have not been able to find out anything and would like to find out if there's a way of getting information.
Okay.
So it sounds like the records are not available or sealed or something.
Okay. We'll do some more research for that on an upcoming program.
Okay, that's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, there's lots on that.
And then the suggestion of what would be helpful. Somebody is saying that really general beginner stuff, how to set up and manage charts, start looking at stuff and get a little overwhelmed really easily. And I know exactly what you're talking about. There's a lot of stuff out there, and maybe an overview on how to read the DNA results. And I think that'll be part of that last program. Okay. And then, yeah, somebody was just commenting, somebody following up on the Native American question said that she had done 2 tests and both came out fairly close in the numbers, and she said thank you for the recommendation of the other test.
Okay.
Were there any other questions or comments or
something you want to see in a future program?
Yeah.
I had a comment, but I don't know how to put it into chat. I typed it in. It says direct message, and how do I get it to you?
You type the message in, and it says the pull down message says everyone to everyone. You should just be able to hit enter.
Oh, enter. On my computer. Oh,
yeah. Once you type the message, if you
type, okay, it came. Enter. Now it's here.
It came to me. She says, came in late to this meeting, missed the introduction. When you said to double check the info, where and how do I check the info?
Okay, so we were talking about if you're finding, if you're looking at other family trees that other people have done online, particularly in like Ancestry or other places where people can post their trees, double check any critical information in that. Maybe you go find the source. If somebody says so-and-so died on a particular date, try to find an official record that confirms that, just to kind of verify all the details and make sure that there were no errors in what was posted there.
Oh, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I had, I found my great-great-grandparents on 2 charts that were on Ancestry, 2 different family trees, and I was suspicious about the one, and I contacted the woman who had a lot of sources on her tree, and I asked her if her information was correct because of the other tree that was online, and she said that the line was her nephew's line, and the nephew went up to Canada and went to the church and found all the records and documented everything. So those are the types of things you need to find out. Is getting the actual documents first
Thank
and
you.
second sources. So
Okay. I see another question here. Will you be providing a list of what the next meeting topics will be? So Alisa, why don't you give out the four upcoming ones?
okay, so the next one will be vital records. And then after that will be other records. And then the fourth program will be other sources. And then the fifth one will be DNA testing.
And we're planning on doing one a month. We haven't set up a time for the next program, but we will do so shortly. Same person, Beryl asked, will the slides be available for reference as well? And I'm glad you brought that up because it kind of brings up a side note that I meant to mention, and which is that I'm planning on setting up kind of a page on the website in the Doris Foley Library section that is about genealogy, just in general, listing kind of what we have here, excuse me, and other resources. And we could post information there about future programs. And then we could also post things like this slide deck. So yes, Beryl, but give me a week or two to get it all set up.
Any other questions? Anything you want to see in the future?
I want to see that pepperoni pizza that was in the slide. That looked really good. Well, just a comment that that we're also, I mean, Alisa works at the Grass Valley Library, but she's got like half a foot in the, more than half a foot some days in the Doris Foley Library. She's a great resource for information on genealogy because she's been doing this so long. And I am also always available. I'm over at the Foley Library. You can either call me here. I work Tuesday through Saturday, or you could email the library reference web email address, which is on the slide in front of you, and so is the phone number of the Foley. I'm always happy to look up obituaries for you. I'm getting quite good at the microfilm machine. Thank you very much. And just help you out in any way. So, and all the services here are free. So we will let you know if we're able to find out anything, or we both Alisa and I love a good search. We love a good mystery. And we get just as excited about some of the little tidbits that we find out as the people that we're helping. So, all right. Any other questions? Anybody else want to pipe in?
What tribes were you researching?
The
Indian tribes.
Oh, also, I would like also to mention that the recording of this class will be on the library's YouTube channel as well. So if the folks are there who are asking about the Native American history are still there and want to post what tribes. No, I think they might be gone. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Okay, so Crystal said she was unable to get the name of the tribe, supposedly Aztec.
Okay.
So, okay, we will see what we can find out.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. And I'm really happy to see so many people who are interested in this. It's a lot of fun. Beware of rabbit holes, but they're usually good rabbit holes. So contact us if we can help in any way. And thank you very much for being here.
We'll see you at the next
Thank
show.
you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, Parissa.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.